Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to What Do You Say, where we talk to remarkable individuals from all walks of life. I'm your co-host, Andrew Termini. If you like what my brother Frank and I are doing here, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And remember to hit that notifications button so you can be notified every time we upload some new content. Our next guest was literally born into the world of firefighting, following his grandfather and father's footsteps into the fire service. From the early days of playing football through college, he has always known the value of hard work. In addition to being a firefighter, he is also an artist who uses leatherwork as his medium, creating custom leatherwork that has been sold around the globe. He says being a slave to authenticity drives his attention to detail and is the foundation for his leatherworking business. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome firefighter and the owner of Fitzwater Leatherworks, Justin Fitzwater, to What Do You Say?
Welcome to What Do You Say, the podcast that peels back the layers of remarkable individuals to reveal their extraordinary sides and their incredible lives. I'm your host, Frank Termini, and I'm absolutely thrilled to embark on this journey with you. The podcast name's What Do You Say? But that's not how it's said.
How do you say it?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
You got it. We say.
Hey.
What do you say?
We say.
All right.
Dude, I love it. I love it. What do you say, Rose? I love it.
So you're basically Italian. I mean, you know, you're basically there already. You know, how long you been on the fire department?
We are at about 6 years.
But hold on, I read this is like generational for you.
Yeah.
Granddad,
Yep.
dad,
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Does it go even before your grandfather?
Uncle.
Uncle,
So,
your dad's brother.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And then my grandpa had a cousin that was on the job too.
So all KCFD.
All KCFD.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And they all kind of sound alike.
Yeah. I get it's commonly said that I sound much like my father.
Oh really?
Sound a lot like him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you sound just like your dad.
Yeah.
Jennifer, hey, if you don't mind, give me a Mountain Dew. Yeah, it's spot on. Sounds just like
So your dad, were you able to work with your dad, or had he already retired by the time you came on?
No, Dad's still on.
Oh, he's still on the job?
As of today, yeah, he works at the airport.
Oh, he's just chilling. Though.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't blame him.
no, I don't blame him either. But I traded time with another firefighter one time so I could go camping with my father. And then when I did that trade time and got to work for my dad, I worked for my dad one time and stayed up
He's
till
a captain?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He stayed up till like 10:30 in the morning. And at about 10:30, it was at Station 3. I was like, I'm done. I'm going to bed. I'm tired of hearing your voice because it sounds like mine. We're at this point, we're just watching deer hunting videos.
It's deer porn.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm going
How long
to bed.
have you been on?
Tired. About 6 years.
And you've been on how long?
I got 15.
You've been on 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Fitz and I were.
Dang, son.
Fitz and I worked at the same station, so like we really, you know, you had just came on and joined Rescue One at Station 25, and so Fitz and I had the pleasure of working together, and
It was a good time.
oh man, we had so much fun. We like if you're not familiar with Fail Force One.
Fail Force One.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Frank. It is awesome. So basically, you know, we'd eat dinner, or, you know, or have you know, our after dinner, you know, get together in the day room and watch shit. And Fail Force One is just people just fucking themselves up. It's like just
Like Jackass.
But yeah, but like
On steroids?
Are you familiar with Fail Army?
No, I haven't watched. Is this like a series?
YouTube.
It's YouTube.
Man.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got to check it out then.
yeah,
Oh,
it-
absolutely.
it's-
But Fail Force One's a little more low budget. So you get the real stuff. People actually get hurt in Fail Force One.
some people might die.
There might have been some
There
deaths.
was probably some deaths. So I mean, it's
It was scary sometimes.
So and you know, Fitz can talk down a rabbit hole just about any topic. So you know, we gravitated towards, I think, one another because we're both, you know, we both love the arts, if you will.
Absolutely.
So you watch a lot of podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Who do you like listening to?
I am religiously up on Kill Tony Hinchcliffe.
Okay.
Shout out.
Shout out, boy, Tony Hinchcliffe.
Shout out, my boy. I like the Are You Garbage guys, H. Foley and James K. Ryan. Those guys where they ask questions on trying to determine whether or not your favorite comedians are garbage or not. That's hilarious. I tend to gravitate towards comedy.
Who do you like? I tell you something. That frickin' that guy from New Orleans. What the hell's his name?
Oh God. Why am I blanking?
I am too.
I
see the mullet and everything.
It's
Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn. That guy is awesome.
Man, his intro song, I listened to the intro song for his podcast like on my playlist in my truck. The song from his podcast is amazing.
You know who else is really funny? And I watched every single comedian on Netflix before I watched him. I would pass him over every single time. That damn Joe Rogan, he's got 2 comedy specials. Yeah. I laughed my butt off the entire time.
Oh yeah, the Joe Rogan experience kind of introduced me into podcasts because he would have people on that I was either interested in or I like his perspective on things. I like where he's at. So yeah, his ideas of how the world should work or the way things are, his open-mindedness and curiosity, as he would say.
Well, and he's also
interesting to me.
I kind of admire how he maintains being respectful to his guests, even when you could tell he doesn't really agree with them. You know?
He does. He has a way of disagreeing, but it's like, you know, respectful. But you have seen him a couple of times. Kind of
gets mad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he gets mad sometimes.
Yeah, fired up. But you respect him when he does get a little fired up, because at least in my opinion, I'm always like, yeah, I think Joe's right in that case.
Well, the only time I'll really disagree with them is when they start talking about religion. I'm just like, I'm not following this.
He stays a little bit more neutral on religion.
Are you out of your mind?
I feel like he doesn't take a stance. I mean,
he's a stark raving atheist. Come on.
He believes in spirituality, I would say.
Yeah, I think he's just he just hasn't come around to figuring it out. But maybe.
I always enjoy listening to his guests. You know, he's got some. He and I were talking. We were like, man, I was like, I don't ever, because that's the podcast I usually will watch. I'll watch him. I'll watch. Oh God! Theo Vaughn's got one. I like watching his, but you know those guys, their guests don't need intros, right? Yeah. I mean, everyone knows who they are.
Sure.
You know,
sometimes. I mean, there's been. I mean, I've seen so many of them. I've seen hundreds. I mean, I say seen. When I'm in my shop, I put on podcasts. I like to listen to spoken word.
Are you a watcher or are you a listener?
See, I put it on my. I got the big iPad now.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah.
So I put it on the iPad. And that way, video casts like Rogan's or Tom Segura with his wife, Christina Pajitsky, they'll do like a horrible or hilarious little clips on YouTube and stuff like that, and you want to see what they're talking about, and so I'll have it playing next to my table where I'm working or so on and so forth, and I forget where I was going with that, but yeah. So I watch and listen at the same time.
So I used to always, when I was at work, I would always have a podcast on, but I would be able to watch it if I wanted to, you know. But most of the time I was just listening. But all of a sudden something maybe catch me and be like, wait a second. And then I'd sit there and watch it for 5 to 10 minutes, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'll do both.
Even if somebody's going on like a rant, you know, like they're not really rant, but like a tangent, or they're really saying something profound.
Right.
I want to see their face. Yeah. I want to see how their nonverbal expression.
And like, I think if you really dive into it, you know, most people don't watch them. Most people just listen.
I would say, yeah.
I have to have a face the voice,
Yeah.
I'd much rather watch him. After I watch it a couple times, I'm okay with listening to it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Sure. I know what you mean. When I'm in the gym, I got podcasts going too, and I'll play Kill Tony. I'll do 30 minutes on the treadmill, walking at a steep incline, lower back injuries. I walk at an incline.
Does that help your back?
It does.
See, walking at an incline, I've had back surgery, and I normally will sit in that chair.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the last couple of days, my back's been driving me crazy. So I wanted this one. It's more firm. What happened to your back?
I fell at a apartment, I guess you could call it. It's one of those little stacked, like 3 apartments in one building.
Okay.
Independence and Forest. There was a hole in the floor, and I fell through the floor. One leg went all the way through. I didn't fall completely through the floor, but I landed with all my weight right on my ass.
Oh.
And it just, I think I had a little bit of maybe some previous, back injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a big dude, always been a big dude.
Yeah.
Played sports my entire life, so it's predictable for me to have maybe some weakness in certain areas. And so when I just hit just right, I got a herniated L5 disc, bulging L4 disc, degenerative disc disease.
Did you have to have surgery?
No, I'm
Epidural-
avoiding that. I don't want to do that.
It's not horrible. I mean, like when I had to have back surgery, I had no back pain.
Yeah.
I just couldn't pick up my left foot. But then since I had back surgery, it'll act up. And like when it acts up, it goes from 0 to I can't breathe.
Really?
Literally, like I'm literally floored. I can't do anything until I can. Thank God, epidurals helped me. Like the last epidural I had was about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So
I did one, and it alleviated the pain for a long time. I felt basically back to normal. I was still on rescue 1 at the time that I got it done, and I felt like I was back to my normal regime. And then, eventually it wore off, just like everybody has ever predicted that it would. On the fire department, there's everybody's a fireman on the fire department, but what you don't realize is how many doctors there are.
Oh yeah,
There's a bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. It's amazing.
Well, here by the time they had so many injuries, they got their head wrapped around a lot of it.
It's miraculous how many guys are just got their doctorate in medicine. But the shot started to wear off, and then what I've come to the conclusion of is I call it my little like antenna. So if I drink a beer that's going to cause inflammation, I feel it the next day. I'm not just with the hangover or with anything like that. Like I feel it in my back. If I eat something that causes inflammation, I feel it in my back. I look at it, honest to God, more like a blessing than a curse, because I'm able to have a direct consequence for my bad behavior in my back. And I'm like, dude, I'm just going to be hurt tomorrow. That is what it is.
My hangovers are in my back.
Exactly.
My hangover, and I don't drink a whole lot, really, but when I drink and I get a hangover, it hurts my back more than my head.
Absolutely.
And I noticed it after Christmas. I was like, I had since Christmas. There he is. I probably ate like shit.
Christmas messed me up too.
And that's why I'm noticing it. Like the last 3 days at the gym, haven't been able to lift. All I've been able to do is just run and stretch. I just run and stretch, and that's what I've done the last 3 days. I haven't been able to lift or anything, and that happens to me every once in a while. I got to deal with it for 4, 5, 6 days. Now, when it gets real bad, like I can't move, it won't go away till I can get an epidural.
I'm blessed enough that I don't necessarily feel like I've ever been to the point where I couldn't move. When I first heard it, I got locked up a couple of times, and then just through proper physical therapy, which ironically enough, that's where I have the connection with you. You were written on my books as my doctor for physical therapy.
You got it. Really?
Yeah. I actually called.
Did I treat you?
No. But I called your brother. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Do you know a Frank Termini? He was like, yeah, it's my brother. I was like, well, yeah, that's my doctor.
Well, that's not exactly how it went down, but I will kind of elaborate for you because it's a freaking hilarious story. So Fitz calls me and he's like, I keep getting these calls from this Frank Termini. Do you know who he is? He's kind of worked up. He's like, why is he calling me?
Who is this guy?
Who's this Frank Termini guy?
I thought it was a scam.
He's like, well, why is he calling me? He's getting himself worked up. He's like, is that your brother? Like, yeah, it's my brother's. He's kind of like, oh shit, like what is he going to do with me? I'm like, well,
I personally called you?
no. When it came through the caller ID, he reversed.
The call, yeah, the caller ID. It didn't have caller ID. I reversed the phone number, and it said Frank Termody on the phone number.
So he's
So it
like,
had to be a call from my office.
Correct.
And then instead of saying core physical therapy, it said Frank Termody.
Said your name.
and I think Fitz thought he was going to have a sit down. He was being called down. And
What's
he was,
going on?
What's going on? Am I going to have a sit down? Am I in trouble with what? And and so I was like, well, Fitz, are you on modified duty? He's like, yeah. I was like,
Yes.
well, my brother is a physical therapist, so he might be calling you to get treated. He's like, damn it. I've been wondering where the hell that phone call's at.
I was like, what is going on?
They're supposed to be getting a hold of me. They keep saying they're getting a hold of me. They're not. And I'm like, yeah, that's who it is. That's
And I'm notoriously terrible with my telephone.
100%. The worst, one of the worst I know.
I don't answer it.
Mine's on do
People
not
send me
disturb.
text messages. I
I'm
answer
looking
text
at two
messages
guys
in
who
my
are
brain.
both awful with the phone.
I keep it on do not disturb at all times.
I want to go back to a home circuit phone where I got a phone in my shop that has like a bell ringer and everything. And if I'm not in there, you can't get a hold of me. Whoa.
Or if you just take it off the hook, you're not going to get a busy tone. What happened?
Exactly.
Busy tone,
I just put it on do not disturb all the time.
Yeah.
The only, so then like I'll put allow calls from favorites. And then my favorites are Michelle, Ross Joseph, who's my stepson. I got all three of the little kids. They have gizmos, right? Because I'm not giving them a phone.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm with you there.
Yeah. Parents that give your kids phones that are
How old are they?
12 and 10.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Guys,
None of my kids
Quit
have
giving
had
your
phones.
kids phones before they're in high
No.
school.
Am I on your favorites?
No. Fuck no.
Absolutely not. Another
No.
absolutely
My
not.
wife and my kids. Yeah, Giorgio. That's it. That's it. Those are my nephew. Those are only kids people that are on my that can
I don't have favorites.
I am removing you from my favorites.
do it. Do it. The only people
This
that
has got
have
to be reciprocal.
Pull his ass off the favorites.
He's off the favorites
the
list.
only people that have 24-hour access to me are my wife and my kids. That's it. And my
That's
nephew.
smart.
That's it.
How old are your kids, Fitz?
I got my twin boys are 14, which has been a trip. And then my daughter is 4. She turned 4 on December 19th.
So you keep saying your shop. What else do you do?
Outside of the fire department, I do leatherwork. I'm a leather artist.
So tell me what that is, because you're talking about a guy who that part of his brain, which is why I was so excited to get you on here, because that part of my brain,
Yeah.
it's been, I don't think God gave it to me, honestly. Like the art, like I couldn't draw a straight line with a ruler. Swear to God.
Well, that's why I'm here. I disagree. I think we all have it. So
Can you pull up some of his stuff, Drew?
So that right there is
that's something right there.
That is a Joe Rogan leather work that Fitz did of Joe Rogan's logo, and that's all tooled leather work. But I'll also go back to like some of the stuff he's done here.
So commonly, like right there, what you're seeing. Commonly, I do fire helmet shields that go on the front of a fire helmet to indicate what company they're on, and so on and so forth. Rogan's thing, it's the size of an album cover made out of a piece of leather. Leather is skin. I feel like I got to say that. Some people like
I wouldn't have known it.
There's a degree of separation there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being a byproduct of the meat industry, it would be what would be thrown away by a meat company turns around and gets recycled and turned into what is my secondary source of income. If you wet it down, soak it down, and get it to the right moisture content with various metal little rod-like tools with different patterns on the bottom of them and a mallet, you can beat down a design into the leather similar to like an Egyptian bust. You know, the Egyptians carved into stone and relieved or like a relief sculpture. I do essentially the exact same thing, but with leather. So as you make relief cuts, you beat those down and create depth and then art.
Not only.
How big is that right there?
That's about, I would say, like max 7 inches tall by 6.5 inches wide.
Okay. All right.
I mean, look at the detail though in the paint painting in the tooling, like the tooling is one side of it, Fitz, but where you just blow it out of the water is your ability to paint and color, and it's and the depth you make. It really jumps off the shield, you know.
What's the name of the business?
Fitzwater Leather.
Fitzwater. And where's it at?
Out of my house.
Okay, cool.
And,
you just do it in your basement or your garage?
Yeah. We happen to have an unfinished portion of the basement. It's about, I don't know, 20 by 20, a little portion of the basement that I work out of. I decked it all out with various tables for each individual the part of creating something. So you got like,
those are shoes.
Yeah, those are the old Birkenstocks. Well, that's the only pair of Birkenstocks I ever did.
Those are badass.
I've been asked to do it a couple of times, but nobody's ever really came through.
You gotta charge top dollar for them. Those are exclusive, man.
So how do you charge it per like the size of it?
Up until literally now, we're 5 years in and we're starting to formalize our order process and how do we go about charging people the most appropriate price and so on and so forth. I charged based on how much work I would do, predicting how much work I would do.
Charge per hour.
Kind of. It's more or less like, okay, so this is what similar leather artisans charge for this, and this is what the average price of what people are getting this for, and this is what how quickly can I turn it around? How much work am I going to have to turn around? How much stuff am I doing that I don't like to do? So like, I'm going to charge more for a belt than I am a shield because I don't like to stitch things. Stitching things drives me nuts. So
it's tedious.
Yeah. So right. The price ends up evening out with a truck belt versus a shield because the amount of tooling is not comparable. I mean, right. I could tool more on a shield than on a belt. So
is this your shop right here?
Yeah, that's a corner of it.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's one of the little corners. It's an absolute mess. That's on Thanksgiving this year in my robe and in my pajama pants.
You gotta love it.
Great.
You can go to work and do your thing in a robe and pajama pants.
Yeah, that's what I thought was funny was we don't take no holidays.
Tombstone poster. Great movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best movie.
Great. Val Kilmer's best work.
I'm going to say it's the best Western out there.
I'm not a Western guy, so I mean, it's really good. It's really good. So this is what you're doing in your spare time.
Yeah, I'd say spare time. I
don't have much of it.
I make time for it. So when I leave the firehouse, my typical routine is I don't come home from the fire station. I go straight to the gym after the fire station because my back and my body feels best when I leave the gym. So I go to the gym for about an hour and a half. I leave the gym, I go home, hop in the shower for 15 minutes, go to the chiropractor. My chiropractor is really great. She isolates certain areas and just does a real quick little fixer. And then I go home and get to work. And I'm in the shop till anywhere from 5 p.m. to 7:30.
Really?
Just chugging it out. At this
How many
point,
orders you do a month?
Man, that's a tough question.
You said 5 p.m. to 7:30. That's only an hour and a half.
No, I said I'm in there from
till 5 to
anywhere
7.
from.
Okay.
Yeah,
my mistake.
Sorry, I was only covering the back half of that.
I was like, I know he puts in more time than that. Yeah, there's no way it's that quick.
No, you're looking at now. When I first got started, you were looking at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I was in the shop working on leatherwork. Now I'm able to be more efficient because I've generated more income, so I'm able to buy a few more machines. I got a little Tippmann Boss hand sewing machine. Doesn't run off electricity. It runs off of one crank of the lever is one stitch in the leather. So it sounds like that takes a long time, but that actually makes it a lot faster. So I've purchased a few pieces of machinery that have made my job quicker, so I'm able to spend less time in the shop and more time with my family. But when I first started chugging out all those hours, I was in the shop all day. Now, I'd say anywhere from 11 o'clock till about 5:30, 7:30.
It's not
depending on. Yeah, it ain't bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, again, it goes back to if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life.
It's absolutely necessary. I felt like a crazy person December 26th. I felt like a madman. I kind of lost my mind a little bit because when I'm not in the shop pursuing the dream or pursuing the goal, I feel like I don't have a goal. Though I have greater purpose than simply producing art. I mean, I'm a husband, father. I still, there's a calling from within that if I'm not actively making strides on that path, I feel like a madman. So,
Well, I mean, then that's probably a sign that that's where you need to be.
absolutely.
That's a sign that that's where you need to be. So you're clearly born and raised in Kansas City. Your dad, your grandpa were both KCFD. Where'd you go to high school?
Liberty,
Liberty.
L-Town, the original,
Graduated when?
2011.
Oh, you're young. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so what sports did you play in high school?
Football.
Football, and then did you go to college and play?
I did.
Where'd
I went on scholarship to Missouri Western State University out of high school, and then, just was feeling pretty burnt out. I mean, I had played since second grade, so
Right.
just was pretty much ready to be done. My cousin, ironically enough, lived a parallel life to mine. I say parallel because we lived the same life. He just was on the Kansas side of the border, and I was on the Missouri side of the border. So we never really met. It was always just him. You meet on Thanksgiving or meet on Christmas, and it was, hey, how's football going? Hey, how's football going? Football's going good. It's going good. He was a quarterback at Baker University.
Yeah.
And I just had talked to him a little bit, and he was like, hey, why don't you come to Baker? And I was like, oh, shoot. They did recruit me when I was in high school. I mean, why not? So I went on a modest scholarship to Baker University and played with my cousin for
So you played I played for
while.
Benedictine.
Yeah.
So
The old Ravens.
yeah, we played against Baker. We played
Yeah, we
against Baker.
spanked the shit out of you guys. boy.
You guys beat us up good then?
Well, when I was in school, yeah.
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 What position did you play?
I was a left tackle in high school. I was a guard at Missouri Western for a little bit. I mean, I never really even made my way off of the red shirt roster at Missouri Western. And then I got a little bit of trouble at Missouri Western, just partying and being a fool. And then at Baker, I went back to left tackle. So
Left-
it was
What
You
was
had
your,
to
what was your
lose some-
playing weight?
As I say, you had to lose some weight.
315.
Yeah. What do you weigh now?
With the holiday weight, I'm about 290.
Are you really?
I'm a walking weight of about
He's a-
275, 280.
He's a big ass man.
I mean,
Yeah.
Dude's big.
God,
That's
290. You don't look 290.
God bless you. See,
He don't move
Dang,
like
son,
it either,
I need to
man.
come on this podcast more often.
He don't move like it either, man. He's pretty
290.
agile, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I graduated high school at 6'4", 315 pounds.
God.
That's a big boy. You know what I'm saying?
So Freegon was coaching over there then?
Yeah.
Super nice
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
guy.
Great guys. Yeah. Who's the coach of Liberty North right now? Do you guys know who I'm talking
gosh
about?
darn it. Well, you may be thinking Greg Jones, which he's
No.
um
There's a, this is terrible if it gets put on public because I lived 4 years with this man. Learman,
yep, there you are. There you
Learman.
are. That's him.
great guy.
He's Liberty North right now.
He was jam up when
Yeah.
I was in high school. That was one of the ones I was like, that guy's a good.
So he was at Liberty first.
He was.
So what did he do at Liberty?
He was on the defensive side of the ball,
Okay.
and he was bad to the bone.
Yeah.
Did you guys play both
always
sides?
respected him. No.
No.
Yeah, that most guys, I mean, unless you're just a specimen, you're probably not playing both sides at that level. Are they 5A?
I don't know what they are now. When I was in high school, we were 6A.
Yeah,
They
may still be.
I think they're 6A because they play Liberty North.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, when I was in high school, we were 6A, and I'll never forget. In 8th grade, I was tall and slender, and then 9th grade, the same build just transitioned over, and I was working at being a tight end because I could move and I could catch the ball, and it came naturally to me. And I was gonna, I had one practice where I went and caught some footballs with the high school team because when I was in high school, freshmen weren't with the high school. We were down in junior high still.
Yeah, it was 6 through 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was 6, 7 was in a middle school, and then 8, 9 was in a junior high,
Got
and
it.
then sophomore through senior was high school.
Got it.
And so I wasn't technically in the high school yet, and I practiced up with the high school team to play tight end, and they kept me down with the freshman team for some reason. I'm honest to God, I don't know the official answer. I have my assumptions, but yeah, I don't really know. And then they stuck me on the offensive line, and I just stayed there. So a part of me is I've been an offensive lineman by a guided path, but I've always had the heart and wanted to be a tight end my whole life. But I just packed on the weight. I started my first game sophomore year. At the time, was one of 2 sophomores to be on the varsity football team starting as a left tackle at 6'4", 265.
That's massive at 6'4", I mean, that's massive first.
That was a sophomore.
Yeah, man.
And then I went up by like 10 pounds each year.
So, and I want both of you guys to answer this question because I'm just curious. We've all had that moment in football where we've got it's that moment where you're like, I ain't shit. I just got smacked so hard, I ain't shit, and I better get to work.
Mm-hmm.
What's because you're a big guy, you're 275 as a sophomore and 315 in college. What kind of hits to a guy because I never played at that weight. You never played at that weight. What kind of hits can a guy like that take where you're like, damn, I am humbled by this shit?
Twice. I can think of 2 specific times. My first game starting as a sophomore, we played what was it? A Columbia team, not Rockbridge. Hickman. And they had a defensive line that was just absolutely stacked. I mean, these were grown ass men. And we're looking at anywhere from 315 to 330 pounds as defensive ends. And I remember coming home to my dad and being like, Dad, these guys are bigger than you. Like these are grown men I'm going against, and I'm still a boy at heart,
right?
And so that game was a reality check for sure, right off the gate. Looking at film and being like, these guys, they're going to Division I schools, they're seniors. I'm a sophomore.
You might have been intimidated mentally before you stepped on the field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was as green as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrified.
They say in like sports, like especially the betting world, like when you're looking at a pitcher on the mound and like the way he's chewing gum, you can tell like this guy's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like when you're in that young playing up in the varsity level, it's like rarely do you see that sophomore who's like walking the way he's like, these guys ain't shit.
I mean, here,
like
I wasn't ready. Like I started on a 1-8 football team. So Pius, my freshman year was 1-8.
Frank was legit. Just so you know, this dude had a full beard in 7th grade.
But hold on, the whole entire team was genetically freakish.
Yeah, no, that's true. But you were at the tippy top of the genetic.
I don't think so, Andrew. There was guys way bigger on that team than me.
I disagree. But then again,
I'll name 5 guys.
Like Brad Clark,
Brad Sullivan,
Brad
Archer,
yeah,
Steve Limke.
But for your position, I mean, so I'm not comparing you to a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. I'm comparing you to somebody that's a running back, and like for the running backs, it's like he made everybody on the field look like they were fucking going in slow motion.
I used to be
fast he was, and he just like grease.
And I wasn't the fastest kid on the team. There was we had another running back that went to Liberty, and his name was Matt Sumner, was an absolute stud. He got in some trouble when he got to Liberty, and then he didn't end up playing after. This was a kid who at the 6A level was as a freshman starting.
Yeah, he was legit.
No. I mean, so
but you had a full beard, so they were like, "We're putting this guy out on the field."
So did he. He was a monster.
But technically,
this Terminated kid's got a full beard. We better put him out.
Matt was a year older.
Was he older than me?
He got held back.
Did he? Well, either way,
I think there were 3 guys on your 8th grade team that should have been playing. They were already old enough.
So I started on a 1-8 team my freshman year and just got smoked. And here we were a 2A football team, and that year we had Aquinas, Springfield Catholic, Bishop Miege. Those they were all. So now we're playing these
some heavy hitters.
These 4A Kansas schools, and I'm used to hitting people and them actually falling down, and the exact opposite would happen. And, I was just getting smoked. And
It's the worst.
it honestly took me 2 years to mentally recover from it, because it's one thing to play out in the periphery, right? Maybe you're a cornerback, something like that, but I was banging in between the tackles with these guys. And I was a 185 pound kid, but I was 14.
You got that hit in your head that really humbled you.
Very first one against Turner. My freshman year, we opened up against Turner. I got on kickoff return, had a 10 or 15 yard head of steam at the guy, and I drilled him, and he didn't even move, and I fell down. Yeah, I mean, that was it. I'll never forget it. I remember who got hurt. Vince Frew got hurt. They let me go in. I went in. I'm like, oh, man, I'm decleating this dude, 10, 15 yards, just rocked him. And he didn't move.
Just reciprocated.
He didn't. I don't even know if he felt me hit him. I don't even know if he felt me hit him. So that was when I was like, that took every ounce of confidence away from me.
Yeah.
Every ounce of confidence away from me. Freshman year, very first game of season, before we even played a JV game, because we didn't have a freshman team.
Yeah.
Freshmen played JV. So that took every ounce of confidence away from me.
Yeah.
And then so my freshman and sophomore year, Griggs was the head coach, and then Byers was head coach starting my junior year, and he made a rule he was not going to let freshmen play varsity no matter how good they were. Because there was one my senior year, Nick Zig, that we were like, man, we could definitely use this kid somewhere, And he was like, no, we ain't letting him play. We ain't letting him play.
I think that's smart. No, there's a massive amount of growth that happens between a freshman to a junior.
Yeah.
Just a massive amount of growth. It's incomparable. You're not the same person.
Yeah. I mean, but I think you can make the move with some of these kids. Well, our best offense and defensive linemen this year were freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Kyler Kuhn was the tackle, and then Jamel was, D tackle, and those guys were freshmen. I mean, now they're also genetic freaks.
They're massive.
Sure.
They're big dudes.
That's not the majority.
No, because
that's an isolated individual that's going to continue to play football past high school.
Yeah. Oh, here they already got offers. I think Oklahoma have already came down to take a peek at him. So I mean, now you're talking about that's the top 3% probably that go to those type of those Power 5 schools. I don't know what it is. It's a ridiculously low percent. So I mean, they're already getting looks from schools like that. And Kyler's also a stud wrestler. His brother's a stud wrestler.
Sure.
I mean, so yeah, you typically, but my argument back then as a senior, I was like, here, we could put him out at wide receiver.
Yeah.
He don't have to smash around in between the tackles. Let's just put him out at wide receiver and, throw a couple balls to him. And he's like, nope, I ain't doing it. But then he did go back on that rule. Frank O'Rourke was a freshman, and he ended up, but he was a cornerback.
He was a cornerback.
He didn't play running back.
Yeah.
So and then defensively, it was like, here, whoever, if someone goes down, I went in.
Yeah.
So then it was like, you got to know linebacker, strong safety, free safety, corner, and if someone was going down on defense that wasn't a defensive lineman, I was going in. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing in any of these positions now, so I was thrown into the fire a lot.
Frank, I don't know. I think Chris Lane Franca played as a freshman.
Nope. Sophomore.
Really?
Yep. Sophomore.
Okay.
He was D lineman. Sophomore. He didn't play as a freshman.
He was a freak because he was, at the time he was probably like 5'5", squatting 550.
Yeah. I mean, he was, is he a fireman or is it his brother?
Oh, it's brother and his dad.
His dad was a fireman too?
Yeah.
I think he may be an attorney.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
the other time that I got humbled was I got my coach in high school. We had a whole new coaching staff. I mean, not really whole new, but our head coach was new from Nixa. Joel Wells was his name. Awesome guy. And then our offensive line coach was new, Lance Jarman. They coach back down in Southern Missouri now. I know Coach Jarman coaches at Kickapoo. But they really pushed to see my career as a football player progress and really got behind me and supported me a lot. And they got me invited to a Nike Invitational football camp at The Ohio State University. So this is a recruiting camp put on by Rivals.com, and all the big recruited guys are going to go there. And me and my dad, first time I ever been on a plane was to go there and do that. I went, and I remember about an hour before the camp started, just feeling in the zone like I'm gonna kill it. I got Lil Wayne going in the headphones. Pick the world up and I'm gonna drop it on your fucking head. I'm gonna destroy these guys, right? And then I went out and it was one-on-ones time and I got my ass kicked. Yeah. It was not good.
Yeah,
I did not perform, and I was like, "Whoa, this is not." I got a lot of growing to do still.
How old were you?
I think that was either junior year or early senior year. I can't remember. Honestly, I think I blacked out that experience because I was like, that was so terrible.
Yeah.
That I had like Rivals.com little websites talking about he might go to KU, that'd be great, and like all this stuff like that. I got a whole box that's probably 4 feet long by 2.5 feet tall, just full of recruit mail from all of the schools and everything. I thought I was the shit.
So would you say, was it speed that got you killed?
Yeah, I think it was just a relative competition. I mean, it was a regional type of camp. So whilst I am dominating here within the Kansas City area and feeling like I really got my feet underneath me, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to, and I got these colleges coming in and looking at me and so on and so forth. There's some old boy from Middle Texas that's been playing football year round. That is just light years ahead for some reason.
So here, I'll give you a little story that when I figured out how it goes down in Texas. So we had a kid from Dallas, Texas. He went to Dallas Jesuit. He was a great running back at Benedictine. Well, he was in town in the summertime. Now, you know Nino Bruno.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Nino Bruno's got a softball team.
The Neen.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nino Bruno had a softball team.
Some of the baddest uniforms of all time.
So he
I
has.
wouldn't expect anything less from
And you
Nino.
know it's the Yankees, of course.
Yeah. So he called me. I was on his like backup roster. Like if in the summertime, if somebody wasn't able to play, he would call me and I would go play. And so he's got 2 guys out, and I got Donald, this kid from Dallas, Texas. He's with me this weekend for whatever reason. And I'm like, well, here, my buddy Donald can play. And Nino goes, is he good? I'm like, yeah, he's going to be great. He's awesome. So Donald gets up and first at bat, this is men's league softball. Now, I've seen this kid do things on a football field that I couldn't believe I seen it.
Sure.
Right. So I'm like, he's going to be okay playing men's league softball.
The athletic ability is there.
It's going to translate.
Yeah.
He gets up. K's his first time at bat. Okay. Strikes out first time at bat. Okay. And I'm like, oh no, this is bad. So his next at bat, he walks. There's 1 out. There's a fly ball hit to right field, and everyone screams tag up, and Donald just takes off running.
Oh, no.
And we're screaming tag up. By the time the kid's so fast, by the time the right fielder caught the ball, he's at third base, and he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck does tag up mean? And Nino looks at me. He's furious. He goes, he can play, huh? He starts throwing shit at me.
Nino's see it immediately.
Nino's furious. So that tells you that, to your point, they played football year round. If they were a football player, they were a football player.
Absolutely.
He had no idea how to catch, throw, any of that stuff on a baseball field. I'd never seen something. I thought, this kid's going to definitely be fine playing men's league softball. Anybody can do that. And he just had never stepped foot on a baseball diamond and had no idea what he was doing.
No disrespect to men's league softball. There are some dudes.
There's some badasses. Hold on. Oh, here.
No disrespect.
Yeah, I'm scared of some of them guys. Yeah, I'm scared of some of them guys. Yeah.
No disrespect to the community.
Yeah. That's
Don't cancel us.
yeah.
Demonetized for men's league softball.
There's some studs out there. There's some some dudes that can run like deer and, still, baseball players transition to men's league softball. There's some studs for sure. But anyway, that was my experience with Texas football players, man. Those guys, that's just what they did.
Yeah. I never really knew any. It was that one camp that I was like, there's something different happening with these kids.
I mean,
I remember the one guy, we was one-on-ones. He was a defensive lineman. I still to this day don't know his name, but he had like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like step cut, high top fade.
Right.
One side's a little lower than the other.
Like a kid and play type deal.
Man.
Kid play the best.
This dude, Booby Miles looking son of a gun, and he just came out and wrecked me. I was like, oh, God. I'll never forget that. And ever since then, I said if I was ever black, I would have that kind of haircut. For sure, hands down. Just because I've idolized that from that one particular individual. He was such a badass.
He probably was a D1 guy. God. Yeah.
He was bad to the bone. I don't know his name, but if he's out there somewhere and somehow catches wind of this, he'll know.
So then you graduate from Baker.
Yeah. Well, no, I never graduated. Long story, but on my 21st birthday at Baker University, we all went out to Lawrence, Kansas at the Hawk, which is notorious for being just a real shit show.
Right.
And shot everything under the sun and went out, took my shirt off, and called some guy much smaller than me a four-eyed fuck because he had glasses on, and he rocked me. And through a reducing kind of like all the various details down to one particular story, I think what ended up happening is he rocked me so hard that my 305 to 315 pounds fell stacked like a building just down on top of me, and I broke my ankle. So shout out to that guy. The only guy I've ever known to rock somebody in the face and break their ankle.
Did he hit you?
He hit me so hard I broke my ankle.
Did he hit you with something?
His fist.
You're kidding.
This guy was a UFC fighter. I don't know. That guy is a mixed martial artist. I don't have any other explanation. I had never lost a fight until that point. And this guy rocked me so hard that I broke my ankle. And then
that's humbling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's humbling for sure.
Yeah, I became one with humanity, and much more together. Everybody's created equal after that moment. But it was a terrible experience. Ankle all like.
Did he knock you out?
Floppy. Oh, dude, out cold. And I was under the opinion that I got jumped,
like time travel.
Like
when you came to
for about a year after that, I was like, man, it was like, hey guys, like no, I think it was just one bad son of a bitch that rocked me hard. And at the time, KU had like a study app where they would share notes and videos and stuff on how to like be a better educational student, like to be an academic. But it turned into like Twitter or something for KU. Like people would share just the most smut you've ever seen on this app, and the video of me was on this KU app for a long time, just getting rocked like World Star, and that's where I found out.
So if
it's
on
just one guy,
if it's out there,
it's got to be out there somewhere. I'm looking for a shout out. If anybody can find that video of me getting rocked, I would pay money to find that video.
I want to see
just to have it. I want to have it in like one of those little digital frames hanging in my shop. Like, just remember, always know where you came from.
Did you?
Like, you got rocked.
Did you turn away from him to where you didn't see it coming?
I'm talking shirt off, arms as stretched as they could possibly be.
Just eagle it.
What's up, you four-eyed fuck? Crack. Right in front of the Hawk. I thought I was going to win it because I used to do that. I was kind of a dick. I used to get drunk and be like, hey, what's up, you piece of shit? And then go headbutt a door and go to bed. Like, it was CTE. Like, I was just angry. College, thought I was a shit. And then just barked at the wrong damn dog. And
you ran into a buzzsaw.
Whoa. Yeah, so.
What do you think he weighed?
Dude, he had to weigh like $185.
That could be a stout punch. That could be a stout one.
He was 5'7", $185. I'm 6'4", 315 pounds. And he broke my ankle with a punch to the face. Just let that resonate for a minute. I'm 21 years old outside the Hawk, Baker University football player, calling people four-eyed fucks, waiting for somebody to rock me.
Let me tell you something. That could happen. Honestly, I'm lucky it never happened to me. I could have very easily ran into something. I mean, now here.
I saved your ass a couple times.
To my defense, never did I ever start a fight. Ever did I ever do that.
Oh,
Yeah. So never did I ever stand up with my shirt off and put my arms out and say, come on.
What was I even doing? It doesn't make any sense because that's not the person that I am on the inside. Like I'm a very nice person, typically very calm. I'd rather make you a friend than make you an enemy. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Maybe you're just not, you shouldn't drink.
Dude, my ankle was all wobbly. I walked into Overland Park Regional, ironically enough, where I was born. 21 years later, walking in on a 90-degree ankle.
So you compound fractured it.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got metal up in this son. Yeah. And
were you by yourself?
Well, when I got rocked, I was. And one.
Where were your friends?
There was a whole shitload of people there when I was partying, and then I got rocked. And there was only one guy.
Well, you know,
Levi Blaylock.
You know what they said?
He's still a person. He's still alive. He was the one guy that came by and scooped me up off the ground and put me in his car. I got blood all over his polo shorts and everything. And he drove me back to Baker University's campus. I called my parents crying like, hey, they beat me up. And my parents came from Kansas City down to Baldwin City, Kansas, picked me up and took me to Overland Park Regional. And I was still so hammered, incredibly hammered, one of the drunkest I've ever been. And I walked into OPR on a broken ankle and was like, let me get you a wheelchair. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, my pride had already been hurt enough that I was like, I'm absolutely not. And surgery, everything. Yeah.
You know, they say like, and if you want people's friends to scatter in a fight, pick the biggest guy and knock him out.
Just rock him.
If you hit a guy and break his ankle, his friends are going to scatter.
Did he break your jaw or anything?
With the lights on.
Nothing. I got a scar here that only shows up when I'm sunburnt on my eyebrow, and my ankle. He hit me so hard in the face I broke my ankle. Shout out to that guy. That story's out there somewhere. He holds on to that, and I don't think he quite knows that he broke my ankle. All I know is that he probably thinks he rocked this big ass dude and put him down and knocked him out and walked away feeling like the shit. Well, he is the shit. Because he broke my ankle too. It's amazing. I thought I got jumped. That's what I said. I thought I got hit by more than one dude. I was like, how did my ankle get broke? I collapsed upon myself in an all in line. You know what I mean? Like you're standing up and it got knocked out and that leg went, and I just collapsed down and broke my ankle too. That was it. Game over. And I never really returned to the football field after that. I had doctors say that I could do physical therapy and I could come back and play. But at that point, I mean, I'd been playing football my whole life and I was like, I'm ready for something new. You know, I never came back. I made peace with the coaches at Baker because I became kind of a piece of shit. I didn't go to class. I just hung out on,
You're fine.
I just hung out on my knee scooter. I was a Delta Tau Delta fraternity brother. And I hung out in my room, which was a mess, by the way. Jesus. And just hung out on my knee scooter and tried to holler at girls and go to party, and that's what I did. For the rest of the year, that Christmas, I came home.
Wow.
And that was it.
And then so you came home that Christmas and didn't go back.
I never went back. Yep.
And then that's when you got on the fire department.
No. I served tables for a long time and paid my way through Maple Woods because I was like, I still need to go to school and figure out something to do. And I took a whole plethora, like a charcuterie board of classes that none of them pertained to a particular degree plan, so I couldn't get any funding for it. So I paid with like dollars and quarters from bartending for school at Maple Woods, where I took art, acting, I took a business management class, all kinds of different random things.
Canadian yarn art.
Yeah, which is actually where my current life starts to pick up. Is I was in an acting class, and one of the girls in my acting class, who ironically enough, it was her first and only year of college as well, walked up to me and said, "Hey, my sister lives in a house over here close to campus, and she's looking to have a mural painted in her home." And I was like, oh, well, I might be able to do it. She's like, you think you could? And I showed her my sketchbook for my art classes and everything. And she's like, yeah, I think you could. Why don't you go over there and meet her? And I met her, and she seemed like a cool chick. And we hung out, and I painted the mural, and then I just kind of stayed and ended up marrying her. Ended up being my wife. So I came
that?
home for a reason.
Now, I was reading in that questionnaire, I was having a hard time following it, so you can hopefully square this up for me.
Yeah.
How many biological kids do you have?
One.
One biological kid, and so the twins are hers.
The twins, yeah.
Hers from a previous marriage.
When I met
previous
Tiffany,
relationship.
yeah.
Okay.
When I met Tiffany, she had her biological sons. They were twins.
Okay, and so one of the twins is special needs,
Correct.
and then so you're the father of two special needs kids.
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
Ezra has his little ADHD kind of things. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that's atypical to the current world.
I have
I think
ADHD.
almost every kid is like kind of on the spectrum and kind of ADHD, and they're all kind of strange. So
What kid doesn't have ADHD?
I don't
guess.
know. I do. So
I mean, I think it's normal. So talk to me. So the twins are boys,
Mhm.
and one of the twins is special needs. What's the diagnosis?
cerebral palsy. He has cerebral palsy, cortical visual impairment, and global developmental delay. So he's a 14-year-old like with his body, but he's about 5 in his head. That's the developmental delay. Cortical visual impairment is he's legally blind, but his eyes are totally healthy and everything's fine. It's all brain related. And then cerebral palsy is cerebral palsy.
Okay, so you, man, I have to take my hat off to you. Walking into that situation, knowing that is the space you're going to be in, that takes a lot.
Well, I wrote it down on the questionnaire as like the fun fact. And if there's ever been a testament to you are destined to have a path, I believe in that. It's the way my life has played out. There was a boy that lived on the street behind me, and Zanga was a neighbor of his named Matt Vittoria, who had Down syndrome. Hilarious. This dude is wild. I mean, a good time. He is awesome.
What's the last name?
Vittoria.
What's his mom's name?
I'm not sure. I just knew Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Italian.
Okay.
Italian. So,
Yeah.
what you say?
Just with a T.
What you say? Yeah,
That's what a T. Just Italian.
Just Italian. But he was awesome, and I loved him, and like a friend and everything, and treated him right and everything like that, and had like this like soul, like from the soul, from the heart type of love for people with special needs, and felt like that, dude, they actually live the best version of life in their minds, at least with Down syndrome, because everything is awesome and they have a great time. And it's kind of a lame little award that they just kind of give. I don't know. When I was in middle school, the Walk the Talk award, when I was in middle school, for treating kids that were of special needs the exact same as my other friends. And then that led to me wanting to be in special education. And that was my original career path out of high school, was I was going to coach football and teach special education. And then that didn't come to fruition. It just, you grow and you learn that you like other things. And then ironically enough, all those years later, I walk into this house with this lady who I think is extremely attractive and would like to get to know her. But then I meet her kids, and I meet one of them has special needs. And I always used to tell people I fell in love with Luke. Luke is his name. I fell in love with Luke before I fell in love with Tiffany. Me and Luke had an immediate connection. We got along. I loved spending time with him. He was hilarious to me. At the time, he spoke echolalic. So, Luke, do you want to go outside? You want to go outside? That meant yes.
So if he repeated it, that means yes.
That was yes.
Okay.
He knew no and then repeating the phrases. That was how he spoke.
Okay. And what's that called?
Echolalic.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what he spoke. He if he agreed with you, he would repeat it. If he disagreed with you, he'd say no. And then he didn't make much sense. He didn't walk very much. He scooted a lot on his butt. He was fed through a stomach tube. He would get the shits because he put everything in his mouth.
So,
but I loved him though. Like, he was a great time, absolutely hilarious.
How old was he
At the time,
when you first came into his life?
4. He was 4 years old.
Okay. And he's non-ambulatory, and at the time he's probably minimal speaking at all.
Walked a little bit, but not much. Yeah, he scooted a lot.
Were you aware they had cerebral palsy then?
Yeah.
Were they aware of it?
Yeah,
They probably
they were aware of all that.
Yeah, real early.
Yeah, that was all there. And yeah, I've quite frankly been able to be around him and see him go from mostly grunts and no and the echolalic speak to now he speaks in complete sentences. He's got a mean stutter that you kind of got to be patient with, but that's new. I don't know where that came from. But went from where he was to we, through proper feeding and diligence and the help of a bunch of different therapists and just beautiful people. Now he doesn't have a G-tube anymore. Neither one of them. Both boys were born premature. So the neurotypical son had a G-tube as well. But when I met him, we had it removed and went through that whole healing process. And oh God, that was a nightmare.
So he was fed through a tube for how long?
Luke was fed through a tube from birth to, man, you're testing me. I'd say probably between 8 and 10. If Tiff hears this, she's probably going to be like, no, that's
long?
absolutely wrong. Yeah, somewhere around those lines. Between 8 years old and 10 years old, he was still being fed.
Wait a second. I'm talking about the neurotypical son.
The neurotypical son, when he was 4, he wasn't being fed through the G-tube. He just had the button.
Okay.
We called it a Mickey button. He had a little port on the side of his stomach.
Like a Metaport type thing.
He had it, where you could stick a tube, a little quick release, stick the tube in, feed him, pull the tube out, bada bing. It's real easy to use. He still had the port, but wasn't being tube fed, and he ate like a champ. So he was doing fine.
And that was, tell me his name.
Ezra
And Luke.
Luke and Ezra.
And Ezra. Okay, and they're 14 now.
They are 14 years old now.
And now Luke is, talk to me about his functionality at this point.
At this point, Luke walks and talks fine. He wears a back brace because he's got kyphosis of the spine, not scoliosis, but kyphosis.
I know what
his
it is.
spine is wild. You do know what it is. He's got that.
Are they going to be able to correct it with the brace?
Yeah, through he gets therapeutic Botox injections like all over his body.
Wait a second. So where would they give him therapeutic Botox?
And
I've seen kids with CP get Botox and it looks fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
like I saw a kid that had, tone in his upper traps and they Botoxed him and his head just fell.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
he's excuse me. He's under general anesthesia when it happens. So I don't see any other like immediate repercussions of Botox.
In theory, what is the Botox supposed to do?
So in theory, what it is his body, through the plasticity of the brain when he was born up until this point. So his childhood years, his brain being plastic has pushed a certain way to move. Given he's got all right side atrophies. That right hand is a little curled. That right ankle, he walks on it like I did when I was 21 years old and broke my ankle. He walks on it like that. Like he walks on the inside of his foot, where he wears a brace on that ankle to try to correct that. But anyways, so he's got all right side atrophies, and the objective is through selective Botox, it shuts down certain muscle groups that his body has incorrectly adapted to using to achieve the function of walking. So we walk and our body knows how to use all the limbs like it should, and we just walk.
So they're shutting muscles down to force him to use the weak ones.
Right. And playing into the adaptability of a plastic brain at a childhood age to shut down those muscles and cause his brain to adapt and utilize the muscles that it should. Because it incorrectly has been using these other muscle groups to be able to achieve something as walking or talking or whatever.
That makes sense.
Ironically enough, fun little side note, because his brain and the plasticity of it at a young childhood age, when you shut down certain muscle groups, it like opens up different synapses in his brain, and his language expanded. So whilst we were injecting him in his legs and in his chest and in his back to try to bring those shoulders back and eliminate that kyphosis and get him to quit walking on his damn ankle and start walking on the bottom of his foot like a normal person.
So he was a tiptoe walker?
No. It's literally like left foot's totally fine. Right foot is like dramatically. Like he walks on the
So
interior
he's
of
a
his foot.
pronator. Okay.
It's crazy.
Okay.
It looks like it's painful.
So they must have injected the if he pronates, they must have
Interior, right?
no, they would inject the everters of the foot.
Yeah,
right?
the exterior.
So they injected proneus, longus brevis, and
The doctor goes through with all those Greek names for various muscle structures that
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. I look at
So
this dude
that's
and
my
I'm just
guess.
like, yep, that sounds right.
So that maybe that they're injecting his muscles that evert his foot, so that now they don't work, and then it forces him to be more neutral.
Yeah.
When he walks.
Yeah, and that's the goal. And we've seen, like I said, we've seen cognitive growth as a result of Botox. It's wild because your brain's trying to learn how to use your foot again. It's like, well, why don't the brain, being the miraculous machine that it is, decides, well, let's go ahead and address this this slurred speech, or let's go ahead and address this vocabulary while we're here. That's my version of it, but
And then he creates that mind-body connection
it's wild.
to the weak muscle,
Mhm.
or the muscle he's not using.
He through when we originally started doing like general all over the body Botox, we saw his speech. I mean, he probably gained a couple years of maturity within 6 months to a year of Botox.
Wow.
It was wild. I've never seen anything like it.
So you just always had a connection between you and your neighbor. So you stepping into that scenario wasn't a big deal for you at all.
I felt like I was meant to do it.
Right. It was a
remember
calling.
I remember I was 12 or 13 years old. I looked at my mom and I said, if there's anybody to have a special needs kid, I think it would be me. And my mom was like, watch what you ask for.
Yeah.
Because, mom being mom, she's like, that's a lot of work. And I don't want my 12-year-old thinking that that's what he's destined to do. That's a hell of a lot of work.
I get it.
You're cutting out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was
But-
for a second.
Ironically enough, that's ended up what happened.
Yeah.
What ended up happening. So, yeah.
Well, here, if you can handle it and it was something that, you were destined to do, I've had friends who were in situations where they were going to consciously walk into that scenario and they were debating dating the girl for other reasons. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to point the elephant out in the room, but what about this component, because that for me, on the outside looking in, that would be what would hold me back. Am I the right person for that job? Nothing against the child, obviously, but you want to make sure. Here, it was scary.
Are you going to step up to the plate?
Right. Am I capable of doing it?
Yeah.
And here, there was a question for me with Michelle, because Michelle had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and we have the 3 together. And it took me a while to commit, because I was like, man, am I going to be able to do that? And then I also knew, like, if I'm not going in and out of those kids' lives, right? So if I'm going to, I don't want to use the word, if I'm going to meet these kids and they're going to see me with their mom, I ain't going anywhere. I'm staying.
You better play that role.
I'm playing.
I agree.
I was not going to. So there was times where she was like, "Come on, I want you to meet the kids," and I was like, "Can we wait? Can we wait? Can we wait?" Because I just didn't
I
know.
think that's respectful.
I didn't, and I and then once I met him, it was like, okay, let's move in, let's have another kid, and that's kind of how things went with us.
Boys, you mind if we pause for a second so I can go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I'm
Go
so
pause.
sorry.
Go ahead, do it.
All the podcasts I watch is like, son of a gun. The guy's got to go.
Oh, yeah, I had to do it when I did mine.
I got to be. I'll be right back.
We're not going to edit that out either. We're going to keep it on there.
Yeah.
Because they probably can hear it from the mics.
Yeah. Like, holy shit.
It's like, my son, he's got a urine stream like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, it literally, it's like a laser. I'm like, what the hell is that?
That's what I used to push it really hard when we were at 25s, because I wanted to assert my dominance in the bathroom. I'm going to push real hard, make everybody think I got the strongest stream possible. You know what I'm saying?
Frankie
Just
George
you
is
better
just-
watch your ass.
Frankie George's is crazy.
Hey, Fitz, tuck that around your shoulder.
My
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
cord,
cord.
just the red cord.
Yeah.
He's funny about that red cord.
Well, it's distracting.
how's that?
That's
fucking perfect.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, nice.
Sorry, guys.
So
Whoa,
so the twins are 14, and then how old's your daughter?
4.
Oh, so there's a nice gap. She started over for you.
Yeah,
That's true love, man.
I brought marriage to the table. My wife brought a kid to the table. So it was like, if you want to get married, I want to get married too. And she was like, okay, yeah, I want to get married too. And I was like, I also feel it necessary that I have a biological child. Just one. I want to try it. I want to see what my DNA makes. You know, my whole life I've wanted to be a dad.
Well,
So, because I had a good dad, I still do. He's still alive and everything. But my dad was a gentle, kind, understanding, talked entirely too much, but a good dad. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I want to do that for kids too. I want to have my own. So
Yeah.
she was okay with it. She blessed me with a daughter.
yeah, so my wife did the same thing. So let's see, I think Nina was 9 and Ross Joseph was 11 when I came into their lives. And then let's see, Gianna. So Nina was 12 and Ross Joseph was 14 when Gianna was born. And Gianna's our oldest. Gianna's 12 now. So and then the twins are 10. So I have boy-girl twins. So my wife started all over for me too. And I told her, because here at the time, I was a physical therapist. I was doing home health. And for whatever reason, there was this one day, like 3 of my patients had no one. You know, they were elderly on their way out and they just had no one. And
They're
it just
alone.
kept happening to me that day. And I went home and I'm like, I want to have a baby. Because initially I didn't want to. I was like, here, you got 2. I don't care. I don't want anything.
You got to think about it for a minute. It took me a minute we really had to think about it.
You know? And so I said, I want to have a baby. And she's like, okay, fine. You know, she knew that was always a possibility.
Yeah.
So we weren't even married yet. And so here, Gianna was at my wedding. So and now I have to explain that to my 12-year-old. So shame on me for that. And then after we had Gianna, I'm like, let's just have one more. And she said, that's it. No more after this. Well, we had twins. We had twins. And I kept telling her before we even got pregnant, I'm like, you're going to have twins. I said it over and over and over again.
Manifested it.
And then
Keep putting it in the universe.
I did. And we went to the first doctor's appointment and he goes, I want to do an ultrasound of her. Before he even seen us, he wanted an ultrasound. So we go in there and as soon as she puts that thing on her belly, she goes, oh, twins. And Michelle goes, you're fucking kidding me. And I just put,
You son of a bitch.
I put both arms in the air. I was all excited. She cried for like a week, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, because it was scary.
It is.
And
That's hard.
she said, and another thing was like, how are we going to afford it? And I'm like, we don't afford the 3 we got. We figure it out. You know, if you wait till you can afford it, you'll never have kids.
That's
So
what my grandpa, he passed away, I want to say 2 years ago. I don't know. I'm so bad with dates.
it's all right.
But he passed away, and that's what my dad used to tell me, that my grandpa, my mom's dad, he told him so many times over is you can never afford to have kids.
Yeah.
But you can't ever afford not to.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, for that resonated with my father, and it's always resonated with me too. It's like that's grandpa's word. I like that.
Yeah.
Never afford to have them, but you can't ever afford not to either.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like Gianna, you know, really, because, you know, Nina and Ross Joseph were here just part-time, you know, because their dad was really heavily involved in their life. And
That's a
so
blessing.
there was still that, those times where I could be irresponsible,
Sure.
you know, because they were with their mom, they were with their dad.
Yeah.
And we'll just be very diplomatic and say there were times where I could still be irresponsible. And then when Gianna was born, it was like, oh, you know, it was
You're
just,
always on now.
yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I wanted to be,
Yeah.
you know, I wanted to be. I was like, okay, this is, you know, she's not going anywhere. Right. Yeah, it was a big eye opener. And then of course the twins, it was like, holy shit, you know,
Yeah.
there was this initial excitement, but you don't grasp, you know, how hard that is, you know, until, you know, that hits you in the face. And my mother-in-law and my mom, you know, my mother-in-law and father-in-law lived with us for probably, man, I bet you it was like 6 or 8 weeks they stayed because they moved to Branson. They retired down in Branson. And I'm like, God, I don't know what the hell I would have done.
Yeah.
You know, because there was times I was holding one of them in the middle of the night going, this is not safe. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot keep my eyes open. I am so tired right now.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, man, that was, and it was such a blur. You know, I'll look back at pictures of them and I'm like, I don't even remember it, you know, because it was change this one, feed this one's asleep, this one's awake, this one needs a bath, this one wants a bottle, you know, and then Gianna, I mean, was like 2.5 when the twins were born. So we had 3 kids in diapers and a 14 and a 16-year-old.
If they could just synchronize their shits, is what you're saying.
Well, it's not only that, it's like,
Just synchronize.
everyone was like, you got to have a schedule. If one wakes up and eats, you got to wake the other one up. And we were like, we just never could get ourselves to do that.
Yeah.
You know, if they're sleeping, we're like, we're not. And they were right. We probably should have woke the other one up too and got them on a schedule, you know.
Is that because they think that it will help synchronize?
Well, because then when one's asleep, the other one's asleep too, and then you can sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if
I
you
could
got
see
'em off-
that being an absolute clusterfuck.
It was
One's
brutal.
trying to go to a nap, and the other one's fussing about feeding.
But then
oh my god,
Where's the break in that?
That's the key.
Holy
There's
shit.
no break in it. There's no break in it.
I was lucky enough. I only had one baby. I mean, the boys
Yeah.
were 4,
Yeah, right.
so there was routines established, and I didn't have to do the neonate into little babies, twins. I didn't have to do any of that. I walked in with a little bit of a driveway already paved.
Now, did your wife do that by herself? Was she
Pretty much, yeah.
with with 2 kids on feeding tubes and one who has special needs?
There was a nursing agency that came through that
is
would pick up and
incredible.
help. Yeah, because they were on ventilators, and
How premature were they?
oh damn you, Frank!
Sorry.
Don't you dare! They were really premature. That's a technical term, right? Really premature.
Yeah.
One of them, Ezra, was not doing well in the womb, so it was an emergency C-section. So they were premature because of that. Oh God, Tiff, I'm sorry. I can't remember how many weeks premature they were. I've never been able to remember how many weeks. Several.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
What's your wife do?
She stays at home with the kids.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then, so I want to talk, there was a word you kept using.
Oh shit.
Well, when you were talking about,
I have a tendency to reuse words over and over and over again.
well, when you were talking about authenticity
Yeah.
of the creative process, and
Yeah.
so talk to me about that. Walk me through that.
So I said in there that I'm a slave to authenticity.
There it is. It's a
it's-
construct that seems to always be at the top of your checklist.
Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's with everything that I do. I think that if you remain truly authentic to whatever authenticity means to you, you're doing the right thing at all times. That's just, and that seems general, but I think that only you and yourself can truly determine what is authentic and what's not. Because it's completely subjective to the viewer. What I deem to be authentic and what I deem to be a fabrication.
Well, I mean, art is subjective.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
That's the great thing about art. I know that at least. You know, it's
Yeah.
incredibly subjective.
But if you like to use as an example, there's certain types of country music that people would call pandering or not authentic. Whilst there's the Willie Nelsons and Waylon Jennings that were like, that's as authentic as it gets. You know what I mean? And that's subjective to the listener, but only you know within your heart what you determine as authentic. And I always personally, without sounding at risk of sounding narcissistic, I try to maintain as much inner authenticity as I possibly can. What I think is cool, what I think is real. I try to do my leatherwork the old school way and pay attention to the ways that it's been done. It's the second oldest trade in human history, second only to cooking. We've been making things out of leather since the dawn of time. And so how do you respect that timeless trade while at the same time, being as I make most things for the fire service, I respect the fire service. And where does leatherwork play a role in the firefighting community historically? How do you maintain authenticity with your product? And that
So have you ever had somebody steal your artwork?
not that I'm aware of.
Not you're aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, here, how many, who's your competitors?
There's a lot. I mean, it's a niche, but it's within that niche there is passionate people. So, there's a guy that makes all the helmet fronts for New York, for FDNY, and he hand paints them, and he does it totally different than I do. Where he receives helmet shield blanks that are already pre-cut by another leather worker, and then he paints them with like gold leaf and hand paints them almost like a sign or like a car, and lacquers them, and they're beautiful works of hand painted artwork, and I would consider that in a way competition. But I mean, art it's hard to discuss competition and art in the same sentence, or in the same conversation, because there's enough subjectivity of artwork for somebody to have their own piece of the pie. You know what I mean? Like, whilst I might have all these people that like what I do, this guy has all these people that like what he does. And there's recently been a shield, I can't remember who ordered it and where it came from, but he has not only one of my shields, but he has this other artisan's shields, one of his as well. So
there's crossover.
Yeah, there's
crossover.
enough slices of this pie for everybody to have a piece.
Yeah.
I've been saying that since I started doing it. I'm very like open book. I as long as you can catch me on my phone, I'm willing to answer questions and help out and give you any tips or advice. I'm transparent with how I make things.
How do people order from you? How does that work?
Right now it's through personal message on Instagram and Facebook, and we got a questionnaire form, but there's like products on our little question form through Google Forms that we don't make anymore, because I've scaled it down to where I'm just getting into the meat and potatoes of what people order most. There for a while it was like I can do anything, and that's where like your Birkenstocks come from. But that that's considered a whole like little separate thing, just products that if I have the time I'll make them, otherwise I don't. I make 5 things. I make helmet shields, I make truck belts, I make my koozies, and I make decanter wraps. And then my 5th one is the one that we're investing most of our time in now as far as pre-planning, which is wall hanging art and fine art. I've been given the opportunity. I've been in discussion with an art gallery in Fort Scott, where I'm trying to branch into a more fine art career. I think it's possible. There seems to be enough traction with people liking my stuff and for me to continue down that path. That's been the hardest mental battle, honestly, is viewing yourself as an artist and owning that, and then digging up from the roots. Like, are you thus being an authentic artist, or are you making sure that you're doing things the right way and you're drawing things as you see them and they're coming from your heart? And with so much outside influence and constantly viewing art, I mean, I'm on Instagram all the time looking at people's artwork. How do you make sure that doesn't penetrate what you're doing, and making sure that you're staying true to what you're doing?
Right.
That's been hard.
Well, and then someone's coming to you saying, hey, this is what I want. And then you're just reproducing it for them. So now it's their vision and not yours.
Exactly.
I get it. Yeah. Well, I mean, and at the end of the day, like, here, take my tattoo artist, for example.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go in there with an idea and he'll be like, yeah, I'll do something like that. But ultimately it's him. You know, he's the one. he's the one coming up with it, and then it never ends up looking like anything that I brought in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I have so much work done. I'm just like, here, what do you think should go there? And he does it. I don't even, this whole sleeve was all, I think I came up with one part of it, and, then the rest of it was just all him,
Yeah.
just doing what he wants to do. So
My best work is when people give me a general idea and then say the rest is up to you to figure out how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's kind of what I do with him. And it's similar, similar scenario. So you're now branching into like wall art.
yeah, I have this idea that I think it'll work. I mean, take a canvas or a wood panel, traditional forms of oil paints or acrylics or whatever, and just take that artwork and put it on a piece of leather, and you can frame it, or you can literally the piece that I got done drawing last night. I stayed up late till about midnight last night drawing. Is the work itself, the background that it'll be laid upon, and the frame are all made entirely out of leather, and it's a just
How big is it?
about 2 foot by 2 foot.
That's a big ass piece of leather.
Yeah, I'm trying to go big.
Yeah.
You know?
So then God, that's got to be expensive.
Relatively.
It should be, if you, because it's the artist's time that goes into it, and hand tooling, you're working with freaking small ass hand tooling. There's a ton of detail in there. It's all done by hand. There's no laser,
The average bevel is about 1/4 inch. So when I take my mallet and I'm hammering on a line to bevel it and create depth, lay down one side and raise another, to do that, the average bevel is about 1/4 inch wide. So with every tap, you're getting half that, because you can't go bevel. Otherwise,
you're getting an eighth of an inch.
You'll see choppiness.
Yeah, you're getting an eighth of an inch.
You're making an eighth of an inch with one swing of them all, and then I'm going to do something 2 foot by 2 foot. So it makes sense.
you charge them by the
Takes
swing.
time. Charge them by a swing.
So
man.
eight swings per inch.
Yeah, it takes a while.
8 swings per inch.
You figure it out.
Times 12 is 96.
Yeah.
And you're doing 2 feet, so it's
That's why even a small project takes a long time.
192.
Those, like for example, Ferraras.
Where's Ferraris? I see it. I got it.
His display shield for his retirement. That's about.
What's it? Which one's that?
That's on the far right. Can our audience see this, Drew?
Yeah, they'll be able to take a look at it. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I'm talking about like as we're doing it right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's oh yeah, more is time. Shout out to Andrew Schultz. I took his little intro to his comedy special, and it was and then what's up, the undisputed champ. That was
That ring looks like you're actually in front of ring. Yeah, green.
you better watch out, cuz I'm in the blue corner. I cut it off right at the end and put on some Snoop Dogg.
I like Buffer. He's the best.
Dude, he's awesome.
He makes my blood pressure go up when I watch him. He just gets so fired up.
Gets me fired up. I did that I got a decent little Buffer impression. Now, I ain't going to do it here because the whole house will hear it, but I did it, yeah.
It's time.
Oh, I get it fired up. I did that for a buddy of mine's wedding. I was in the, yeah.
His brother does boxing, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, well, I think he's got a brother that does a similar thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know Bruce, man.
There was another brother.
They're both into it.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Sound exactly alike.
Is his brother the one that's Let's Get Ready to Rumble?
Yes.
That's his brother.
Yeah, I think one was boxing and one was UFC.
Let's get ready to. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wall gets you fired up every time, cuz.
I mean, I think in Mike Tyson's days, he was the guy. Nobody introduced fighters like that, and when that Let's Get Ready.
Michael
to Rumble.
Buffer, and then in the mid '90s,
There you go.
Yeah,
Bruce became Michael's agent and manager. There you go. The pair have since worked together,
yeah.
grow themselves.
Seeing those veins popping and that forehead get red and just and
Yeah,
man,
it's
that
like-
gets me fired up.
But guess what? After that, he gets to go chill.
Yeah.
That's
it.
It's like
Cash the check.
Little John doing okay.
right.
Yeah.
and then just step. All right,
it.
everything's okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just
all I got.
sit back here.
You only got to do it once.
Only
And
do
then
it
they
once.
just, would they hit a button and then it just kind of goes in as they need it to?
Well, yeah, now that's how it rolls. But like for Bruce Buffer, like thinking about how he, is in Vegas. They're rolling out the red carpet. He's probably getting paid a chunk of change to just say those few words.
Absolutely.
I would be interested to know what actually Bruce Buffer got.
Oh, the UFC. I mean, I can only imagine. I've never been to a fight,
It's pretty awesome.
but I can bet it's just off the chain.
Let's see.
The net worth is $12 million.
For Bruce?
Hold on, Michael Buffer has a net worth of about $400 million.
Well, I think he outdid his brothers.
So
I mean.
per celebrity net worth, Buffer has a net worth of $12 million. He reportedly makes $100,000 per event. Comparing him to his half brother Michael Buffer has a net worth of $400 million. So Bruce Buffer's $12 million, Michael Buffer's $400 million.
So my cheap impression's worth at least $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but here, think about it. I mean, boxing for whatever reason, they get paid more.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No,
but
no.
they just do.
Bruce is the one who's worth 12.
No, Michael Buffer has a net worth of $400 million. Bruce Buffer's the guy that's for the UFC.
Yeah,
Michael
what?
Buffer was the boxing guy.
Okay. Michael came first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael's been doing it longer, I'd say.
but fucking that's 40 times more almost.
Frank, if you're worth 400 million and I'm worth 12, I'm fucking tickled pink.
Well, no, I
Kidding me, bro? You know what? Hey,
You could be worth $400 million,
Yeah, I could.
and I'm worth $250,000.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
good with
fine.
that,
I'm fine with that,
250,000.
dude. I can live life all right on that.
We'll hook up the fifth wheel. Go.
Yeah.
I don't know why the boxing world gets paid so much more than the UFC world. I don't.
Hey, because Dana White, he ain't a billionaire for nothing.
Dude, not for long. I'm
Well,
saying
hold on, he's
for
not
long.
the owner of the UFC. It's two brothers.
No. Dana White's the owner of the UFC. He bought it from two brothers.
Who are those guys? Who were they?
I don't know when he bought it from him. They
Dana
were
White bought it.
yeah, and they were actually failing.
Oh,
Yes, that's why he
Come
bought
on.
it. They were getting ready to go into bankruptcy, and so Dana White brought it back. And then, if I'm not mistaken, things were starting to kind of transpire. You had those guys like Tito that were coming up, and they were just flashy dudes. But he also,
Fertitta brothers
yeah,
sold the company to Endeavor, and he became the president. He got his ownership rights and became the key decision maker person in the company. Yeah, Dana White did, but the Fertitta brothers owned it.
Shout out Dana White. Dana White's the man.
yeah, he is the man.
He's the man.
I guess he plays some big ass hands in Vegas.
Well, did you see that photo where he took his family on vacation and they brought a gambling table on vacation? Like he hired somebody to bring in the table.
Yeah, he loves he loves
He's like, if
I
I'm
don't
going on
understand
vacation,
that.
I'm gambling, cuz.
he loves the action.
That's what's going on.
I mean, but here, what does a guy like that have to bet to feel it? You know what I mean?
You got
like here for me and you. I mean, if I lose $500, my wife doesn't talk to me for 2 days. That's kind of how I gauge it. Like I'm gonna bet enough money to where she's pissed for like 36 hours.
That's why his wife probably cracked him. He got cracked.
Same.
If I lose, then she's going to be mad for a day or a day and a half. And for me, that number is right around $500. But I don't gamble a lot because if I win the 500, it does nothing for me.
Yeah.
But if I lose the 500, it fucking hurts. So I'm like,
I don't gamble.
I don't ever gamble.
I'm
not a
gonna
gambler.
throw a theory out there. If he's playing against other millionaires and it's a poker kind of thing, then it's not about the money. It's about crushing his opponent. Like you're a billionaire, I'm a billionaire,
competition.
and I'm just going to crush your soul. Or if I have $1 billion and you're worth $100 million, well, if I take 20 of it, then I've just crushed you.
Yeah.
So if it's that, then it's one thing. Because I can't imagine, like you're saying, Frank, I just can't imagine that. If you got $1 billion, what's 100,000? You win 100,000, you win $1 million. What the hell is
He's
the
got to
difference?
bet 100,000 a hand.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference? At that point, it's like, it's
And
like,
let's say he wins 2 million. Who fucking cares?
right?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, who cares? What's it do for him? Absolutely nothing. Even if he loses 2 million.
here now. Here's a thought: is losing money a taxable tax deduction?
No.
He can't write off his losses because that'd be
Can
great.
you?
Dude, I've gambled
Well, here-
$20 of somebody else's money once. Shout out Johnny Davis. He said he gave me $20 to play blackjack at the Fireman's Ball at the
Bethesda.
casino. Old Denunzio.
So if it's a taxable expense, like, because I know that scratchers and lottery tickets are tax write off. You have to pay taxes on your winnings. So if it's taxable, if I made $1 billion, I'd want to fucking lose as much money as possible. So I didn't have to give it to the government. I'd rather give it to you than give it to Uncle Sam.
So
That's
it's
just kind of
it's a tax. It is tax deductible, but only to the extent of your winnings.
okay.
So I don't know what the hell that means.
So that,
I don't even
that-
know
what that
means.
means is it's tax deductible against your winnings. So if you're in the positive,
So if you win 100,000 and you lose 100,000, you don't have to pay taxes on the 100,000 you won.
right.
That's all it is.
So it's canceling out your winnings. But if you're just a straight degenerate loser, you're not writing shit off. You're just losing money.
That's all you're doing. And here, that's what most people are doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, let's face it.
99% of them are.
I mean, let's
I'm
face
out.
it.
You're not. You didn't go to MIT, and you don't know what you're doing. If you think you do, you're
Hold on, them MIT guys did it, and they had to give all that money back.
Right.
And then they're blacklisted. Yeah, they can't do nothing.
Hey, I will tell you this. My son with cerebral palsy named off about 40 to 45 people in a row their birthdays off of memory.
no shit.
So
So he's kind of like, yeah.
I'm about to give that boy a deck of cards. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
I can't remember your name after 2 minutes of talking to you.
What card's coming next, Luke?
Yeah.
That's the
Here, show them that movie. What's the movie that they
Rain Man.
Rain Man.
No, they did the movie with the MIT guys.
Oh no, that's 21.
with Kevin Spacey. Yeah, but the book is called. I think the book is called Bringing Down the House.
Okay.
I think that's what the book is called.
Luke Fitzwater's going to bring down the house. Yeah. Watch out.
I'll go to Vegas with them.
Yeah.
I'm not bullshitting.
I'll go to Vegas with
That
them.
dude, he named off about 45 different names. And then we got down to my father-in-law's wife. And I said, when's Grandma Renee's birthday? And I thought maybe it was just like a chain reaction. I said a name and he said a date. And that's how the conversation went for, like I said, like 45 different people.
That's awesome.
And then we got down to Grandma Renee and he goes, tomorrow. And I'll be damned if that woman's birthday wasn't tomorrow.
Wow, that's
And
pretty
it was
awesome.
like, so he switched up the terminology too. And I was like, okay, well, that's scary.
That's impressive.
I think he's been touched.
That's
I
impressive.
think he, you know, what
Well-
I mean? Like he's got like some sort of like gift of prophecy or something.
Well, and I think that happens. You know,
It's wild.
I think God does that.
Yeah.
You know, I always like to end with this. I want to know what the future looks like for you and for your business.
Sure.
You know, where do you see it going? Like, do you still see yourself staying on the fire department no matter how big the business gets? Is the
No.
fire? You don't.
No. I think if the business grows, I'll go with the business. If the business grows to the point where I'm losing money, then I'll go with that. You know,
Gotta support your family, man.
I played football and did my whole life based on what other people told me to do. My entire life, I did what everybody else told me to do, and went to college because people told me to do that. I did all that. And this business and me doing artwork and so on and so forth has been the only thing I think in my entire life that's ever been mine. It's what I want to do, and it's how I want to do it.
That's awesome.
And to quote Rick Rubin, where he says, just make things that you like. If I like it, who cares what other people think about whether they like it or not? Somebody will eventually, right? But you gotta, spiritually, you have to pursue what you like. And so I can't exactly predict where the business goes, how much success I'm going to receive. I've received a little inch of success. We're out again.
It's that chords. Probably just
Am I good now?
yeah.
How long have you been at it?
2024 will mark our 5th year.
5 years. So you're still, I mean, you're in
Yeah.
the infancy phase of it pretty
Yeah.
much. So am I hearing this correct? The fire department wasn't like in your blood as far as like that's just something you wanted to do.
I was good at helping people. I got a strong work ethic. I got a strong, able body. It's a career path that I know I'm good at and I can be good at. And so when you're trying to support a family, and I got kids that need to be fed, and a wife that needs bills paid, I'm going to choose what I know I'm going to be good at. And with the family history there, I have a passion and a respect for the fire service that goes beyond just me wanting to be a firefighter. You know what I mean? Like I love everything old school fireman, and I love the fire service and have a passion for all that is fireman. But I'm also an artist and I got all this other stuff going on too. So wherever I find success and wherever my heart pushes me to go is where I'm going to go.
Well, and
you know,
like for me, what you guys do, I mean, gosh, I could never do it. I could never see what you guys see and do what you guys do and maintain any level of sanity. I'm not mentally tough enough to do it. I know that. Just from my own personal experiences. And granted, I was much closer to the situation than you guys are a lot of times. You know what I mean? But still, I don't think I could be a part of someone's worst day like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be able to maintain any level of sanity. So, you know, hats off to you guys for that, for sure.
Thanks.
Um,
This topic of conversation comes up a lot in my house, where it's like, okay, where we sit now on a bit of a cliff's edge of staying on the fire department and continuing on that career path, or continuing to invest and pursue in the art career is a common conversation that happens in my house all the time between me and my wife. Because I mean, we're essentially family planning and planning out our lives.
sure.
And I know there's one thing that I hold on to every single day whenever I find my doubts or I feel like I'm not doing the right things, or because it's common in the fire department to have the guys that are company men that are, you got to be all in or you're a piece of shit. And it's all that.
Sure.
Right? And
No.
I think I'm a damn good fireman, and I push and I work hard and I care about the job and do all that despite having all these other side passions. But I think the thing that comes up in my mind that helps me cope with that the most is anybody out there that would not support a guy who wants to sleep all night and do artwork and make a shitload of money doing it. You don't need to hop on my train then. There's plenty of other trains you can hop on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like, well, I mean,
You still
who would blame that guy?
Well,
Unless this was, I mean, and when he goes to the fire department, he still does his job. You know.
here, listen, if
I
you
don't work on leather at the fire department. I don't. When I Term can attest, maybe once or twice when I was a 25s, when I was really crushing for a deadline, I brought stuff in. Otherwise, when I go to the fire station, I'm firefighter Justin.
Right.
I don't work on leatherwork at the firehouse. And I've had multiple guys ask, why don't you work on at the same? No, two different lives here.
What station are you at? Let's
Right
talk.
now I'm at station 14 at 152 in Brighton. I'm in the Northland now.
Okay.
4 minutes from home.
Yeah, that's nice.
Can ride my
And it's
bike.
probably not a horribly busy station.
It has its days, but for the most part, no.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
I haven't fought a fire since
you got a great captain and a great crew.
yeah.
You know,
I don't know what it is, man. I rub elbows with the Italians a lot. I'm working at yet another 14s is not the Italian fire station, but virtually everybody I work with is Italian.
is Nick Silvio your captain?
Silvio's the captain. Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome fella.
Love
Yeah.
Nick.
I'm very blessed to have him. I've been blessed to have good captains pretty much my entire time on the fire department.
And shout out to Hogjaw, man. They
Great.
every time I've eaten at one of his restaurants in Chalmers, or I mean, the food is amazing.
Yeah, and that's a guy that's going to get it. He's going to get where you know. I mean,
Absolutely he
He's
does.
passionate about other things other than being a fireman.
Yeah.
You know, so he'll wrap his mind around that component.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's good to have a superior who you know he understands it. You know,
Well, and you know, I'm part of a little bit of a new school way of thinking where my father was all about the structure and you got to have the insurance and you got to have all this stuff.
And you do. He's not wrong.
Sure, you do have to have that.
Yeah.
However, I'm also under the thinking that I'll pay more for insurance and sacrifice on a car or something like that to be able to do what I love every day. And so if I find myself at any time, I'm still on the fire department because I still like what I do and I'm still going to work hard. But if any moment in time where I find myself absolutely miserable, I'm not afraid to walk out and people would turn around and say, well, what about the insurance and stuff like that? It's like, well, hold on a minute. That's, I'll find a way to pay for that.
Right.
Like I gotta try. I gotta bet on myself somehow. I gotta push. I can't rely on somebody else's insurance policy my entire life.
Here, listen.
And I'm not going to hinder my dreams just to make sure I got that damn good Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm just not going to do it.
And it's really good.
You know
insurance.
what I mean? I can't do that.
It is good insurance.
It is really
Damn good insurance.
It's really good.
Don't get me
insurance.
wrong.
No. And I commend you for saying it. And here, listen. And you made the comment about being on a cliff, and Steve Harvey does a speech about it and says, hey, if you want to fly, you got to jump. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have bumps and bruises on the way down, but if you ever want to fly, you got to jump. And, I jumped, and then I jumped again, and I've jumped again, and here I am still jumping and waiting for my wings to spread, and it keeps you up at night.
It does.
It keeps, and it could drive you freaking crazy.
Well, especially when you consider that this conversation is a bit divisive. There's people out there that are on the fire department that would consider what I have said to be a subpar statement.
Blasphemy.
They would. And sorry to anybody that hears it and doesn't like it, but you know what I mean? I got to push. I got to try. And fuck me if I'm not trying. You got to appreciate and respect a guy who's out there hustling to try to achieve a damn dream when he never really had one. I did everything everybody ever told me to do. I got to try to pursue a dream of my own at some point in life. Otherwise, I'm going to die a retired fireman in a nursing home.
Yeah. Well, and here,
doing what everybody told me to do.
Sometimes being an entrepreneur is a freaking curse.
Yeah.
Believe me, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I owned my own physical therapy clinics. I owned a home health agency. I've started transportation company. Listen, I get it. Being an entrepreneur and being a guy here, you have a lot of late night conversations with God.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, it was one of the main things that kind of forced me to like really start leaning on God, because you come to a point where you're like, okay, here, this is what I want to do, but tell me where you want me to be, and that's a really important question to ask. Like for me, it being someone who, is a Christian and, has learned to lean on God and sometimes has to remind himself over and over and over again to keep leaning on God. I have to stop and say, okay, I've spent all this time doing what I want to do. Yeah. Where do you want me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's maybe my advice that I would give you as a young, how old are you? 32?
Or 31.
31. Yeah. So that's how old I was when I opened up Core Physical Therapy, and I had a lot of hair. I don't anymore.
Well, I don't have too much. That's why I got a hat on.
But I mean, there was plenty of times where I could look back and say, I took everything into my own hands, jacked it up, and God bailed me out.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, oh, man, we could do a whole nother podcast on it.
Yeah.
I probably should do one on it.
Yeah.
There's so many times where I 100% took things into my own hands, screwed it up, was borderline going to have to shut my doors because of my own ignorance and pride.
Yeah.
And God bailed me out of it.
It's a really hard thing to try to convince people, which therefore I don't try to convince anybody, but it's a hard thing to try to think about leaving a good thing. that you like at risk of doing something worse. It's like I could be broke. I could live a subpar life, but I have a trade that, as Rogan would say, be undeniable. I have a trade that I'm undeniably good at, that I bust my fucking ass to be good at, and that I'm passionate about, and that fuels me. That I could go work for a saddler somewhere if I ever got down and out. You know what I mean? But how do you convince some people that? I know that it sounds like I'm talking fucking crazy. I know it sounds
Not to
crazy.
me, absolutely not to here. You're talking about a guy.
Like, hey, dude, I gotta try. I gotta try. If I lived my whole life and never tried, how could you sit on the couch as an 85, 95, whatever year old man, God willing, and say you never once just threw that gambling handout on yourself?
I'd rather fail. I'd rather fail at everything I do than not try.
Well, and you got to hear, someone said, listen, if you think the price of failure is high, try cashing the check on regret. You know, and it's the truth. So you're the question you ask yourself is, what's worse? Staying on the fire department, coasting. I don't want to say coasting because the fire department is a brutal job.
Far from a coast.
It's not coast, but you're
so familiar with it. You can do it in your sleep.
Is it worse for you to stay on the fire department or take your shot at your art and fail? I mean, you would rather take your shot and fail.
I'm taking the shot. I've been ever since I started doing it, and every little silly dumbass video of me dancing like a fool to sell leather on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, all that is all taking a shot.
Which means, I will tell you this, Frank, we got to get something leatherwork for the What Do You Say podcast at some point.
Absolutely.
Here, let's hear it.
We got some shelf space I see here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's yours. Tell me what you want.
God damn.
Tell me what you want to do.
We got to do something.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man, but put us on your docket and see if you can work something up. And
get it done. Let's get it done.
We'll get something done here.
We got to make it happen.
Here, why couldn't we just do that?
We could, but I don't want Fitz to be confined to just.
Here, I'll tell you what you do.
That's all. Put me in a box.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what you do.
I'm just kidding.
You do what you think needs to be done.
Oh shit.
Okay, but then here, what's it going to cost me?
Oh, I don't know. I even thought about showing up with something, but I just couldn't get it done. You guys are on the tail end of Christmas, so I couldn't get anything done. I got a couple of things in the works. Don't you worry. Don't you worry your sweet little hearts.
We'll just get it done.
Can you get under 500? Can you do it?
Shoot, I can get under a lot of things.
Can you get?
That's just what I'm saying. Contrary to my size, I can get under a lot of things.
Can you do something cool for under 500?
Sure. Yeah, we can make it happen.
Can you do
that? We
that?
can make it happen.
So let's end with this. Let's talk about your Instagram and your Facebook and how people contact you and how people can look at some of the stuff that you do. Let's use the last part to kind of promote. What the hell's the name of the business?
Thanks, Frank. It's Fitzwater Leather on everything.
How do we not bring that up?
We did.
Did we?
You
Did I
weren't
miss it?
paying attention. Yeah,
Did I miss it?
I brought it up.
I told you I got ADD.
I ain't tripping on nothing.
So then we'll bring it up twice. So the name of the business is Fitzwater Leather.
Fitzwater
You
Leather.
operate out of your home.
And
what's that Instagram?
At Fitzwater Leather on everything. We're gonna have a website up and running. God bless my website people. I haven't given them anything in like a month.
Here, you ought to meet
the
Dane.
business happen.
You ought to meet Dane Moss. He's the guy that does the marketing for the podcast. He can probably help you.
He's great.
Yeah.
We currently right now we got some people we're working with that to respect them. I'm working on stuff with them right now.
Okay. All right.
If anything falls through,
Who's the company you're working with?
Dream On Together.
Dream On. And so
the
they're a
name of the
marketing company.
Yeah, they do all that, but I with the Instagram and the Facebook and all that, they haven't done anything marketing really related because I said I'd take over. I'm doing it on my own.
And on Instagram,
Can I tell you something?
What's that?
Delegate that shit.
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to get to the point where I have to.
Well, if it doesn't, then you're not doing it right.
I didn't
There's
I didn't post anything over the holiday season. And thank God that post, that one with the Leesburg engineer and the little steamer on the shield, thank God that post did pretty well coming back off a break, because what you're seeing there on the right, Frank, the picture of me, that's Thanksgiving. And then Leesburg engineer was yesterday. So there's been a hell of a break in posting. But I'd venture to say the people that look at my stuff have a decent enough understanding that if I haven't posted anything in a while, it ain't because I'm falling off the bandwagon, cause it's because I'm
grinding.
I'm hustling.
Yeah,
you know,
you're grinding.
and then-
No, that's good. So it's at Fitzwater Leather, and that's for Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook.
And then
Eventually it'll be fitzwaterleather.com, but don't try to do it now because I ain't up yet.
And there's a link that you can click here to open a form for an order form if you want.
Don't order a radio strap from me
So
because I ain't gonna make one.
so at
It's on there, but I ain't making them no more.
at Fitzwater Leather, you'll go there. You could see samples, and then you can create an order form through there, or they DM you maybe.
Yeah, that's probably the best route to take. Just send me
DM
a
you?
message and say, hey, I'm interested in this. And my wonderful, beautiful, dedicated, amazing wife, who's pretty much a genius in my mind, will communicate well, and she'll get you put in the books and get it all sorted out. She'll talk to you. I might message you back. I don't know. It depends on,
You're too busy.
you know, whatever. But I mean, I draw everything, so you're going to receive a draft from me with some big long explanation with words I don't totally understand. And
ChatGPT's writing that all up for you.
no, that's me, because I write everything I said. So sometimes I wonder if firemen take it and they're like, what the hell is this guy fucking talking about? It sounds like I'm mad because I'm like, it really would do well with giving the vibe of the old school fireman. Like I say all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm passionate about. I want to make sure everybody has a firm understanding that I'm really looking at it from a artistic perspective, trying to be authentic.
Yeah. Well, it'll come through. It'll come through.
Hopefully.
Well, good stuff, man. Thanks for being on.
No,
I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate
I
the
wish
time.
you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
I think, with your passion and here, when you're passionate and you're hardworking, it's tough not to be successful. So
Trying.
I think you're going to do well. I think you're going to do well. Speaking it over you.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
That means
Good
a
luck.
lot.
Been saying that
Thank
for a
you for the
minute.
time, guys.
You got it. We'll have to have you on again as things start to progress.
Oh, absolutely. I got plenty of stories, cuz I got all day. What are you talking about? Here I am. Let's do it again. Shit.
Get under about anything.
Yeah.
Get under about anything.
Good stuff, man. Thank you.
right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, boys.